right. Cool. Hi.
Hi, my name's Jonny.
And I'm Alex.
And we're from Santa Barbara Middle School Teen Press. Today we're here with
JAIME CASAP.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you.
What was it like in Hell's Kitchen when you were my age?
So I don't know how old you are.
12.
12, yeah. So growing up in Hell's Kitchen wasn't the nicest place. It was a lot of issues going on in a community like that. It was a lot of crime, a lot of violence, a lot of drug use, those types of things. So I remember being 12 years old, walking to school every day. It was an adventure every day. So it wasn't the nicest place to grow up.
How did that shape your view of education?
Well, education is the most important thing that we can focus on, right? Education is a silver bullet. If it wasn't for education, I wouldn't be standing here. And so I think how it shaped my view of education is that it made me realize that it's the most important thing to focus on.
Okay, so you once said don't ask kids what they want to be when they grow up, but what problems they want to solve. Can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, so what I meant by that is that long time ago in the olden days, right, we would ask people, like, what do you want to be when you grow up? We had like 10 jobs. You could be a cop, you could be a firefighter, you could be a doctor, you could be a lawyer. We don't live in that world anymore, right? We live in a world where the jobs are constantly changing. I'm working in a job that didn't exist when I graduated high school, right? That when I graduated college. And you guys are probably going to be working in things or working on projects, working on problems that didn't exist that don't exist today, potentially, right? So what I'm saying by that isn't necessarily to focus on what do you want to be when you grow up, because who knows what that's going to be. Instead, what is it that interests you? What's the problem that you want to solve? And then what are the skills that you need to solve that problem? What do you need to learn to solve that problem, right? So it's better to find someone, it might be a job, but it might be someone who's working on a problem that you're interested in. Wouldn't it be great to know what is it that they learn to solve that problem? And that's where it comes from.
Okay, that's great, thanks.
You once said education has to reflect the economy at the time.
Mm-hmm.
You stated in your generation this was true. What do you think drove us away from that idea in my generation?
So I think what we need to do is do exactly what we did 150 years ago and say, what's the right education system for the economy that we're facing? 150 years ago, the economy was a manufacturing-based, industrial-based economy, and the education system that we created reflected that, and it handled it really, really well. We turned into a superpower because we were able to reflect an education system directly related to the economy that we're facing. Today, we got to look at the economy. What kind of economy are we facing? A network-based, computer-based, internet-based, global-based, knowledge-based economy, and what does the education system need to do to reflect that? And that's what I meant by that.
You can ask the next question.
You once said it's because we understand that education is a silver bullet, that education can disrupt poverty, that education can change a family's destiny. When you were a child, did you take advantage of the silver bullet of education? Did others?
Yeah, so I did, right? So this is why I'm here, and others didn't, and you can clearly see the difference. And it wasn't necessarily their fault. It wasn't necessarily a choice. How do you make a choice when you're 12 years old to be educated versus not being educated, right? You have to, some of it is just luck. But what I look at is I look at my kids, right? So I have a 14-year-old, and I have a 1.5-year-old, and I have a 23-year-old. So I have kids all over the place. But their perspective, their point of view, what they have in front of them is completely different than it was for me, and that's the real power that education brings.
Okay, so where do you see education in 5 years?
So where do I see it? So I've been involved in this for about 10 years, and I think what I'm starting to see is some really exciting things. I think this is the most exciting time in education. What I see is a change, a model, more reflection of what it is that we can do with education and how we can continuously improve it and update it. And so what I see in 5 years is a more focus on you guys, a more focus on students. And what do you want to learn? What are the knowledge skills that you want to develop? How do you want to focus on that and be able to personalize that for our students? So that's what I am excited about seeing in the future.
And what are your hopes for education in the future? It's kind of like
Yeah. So I think part of that is the same thing, right? Which is this idea that I think that education, I remember when I graduated from graduate school, I said, I'm done learning, right? I never have to learn again, right? And that nothing can be further from the truth. So my hope for education is that we recognize that it's not a thing that happens to us, but rather something that we experience all the time. So even my daughter who graduated from college, is she done learning? No, right? She's got to continuously learn. And so that's my hope for education, is that we recognize that as anything else in our lives, that we have to continuously do and update and work on.
Thank you.
Teachers make a big impact on you. What teacher left a big impact on you?
That's a good question. I would say lots of teachers had an impact on me, but specifically my fourth grade teacher, Mrs. Riddick. I talk about her all the time. I don't know where she is or if she's still with us, but she's the one who I would write papers for, and I would hand her papers, and she would like mark them all up, saying, "This isn't good enough. I know you can do better than this," and give them back. So she wouldn't just take the minimum from me. She would always want more from me, and I think she's the one that kind of pushed me out of my shell like that.
So what is your definition of the NAIS?
What's my definition of the National Independent School District stuff? So I think that my definition is that independent schools are important for our future, right? I think this idea that we have all these great ideas, and so I walked around here for a couple hours today, and I got to sense what was going on here, and you can feel the energy from all these great ideas. And I think that more than anything, public schools, charter schools, independent schools, all these schools can learn from each other, right? So, because one of the things that I think we need more than anything in education is this idea that we got to constantly iterate and innovate, and all that's happening in all these schools. How do we take some of those best ideas and broaden them out? How do we take some of these best ideas and share best practices across not just independent schools, but all schools?
Exactly. Well, thank you, Jamie.
Thank you guys very much. Good job. All right.
Thank you.
Good luck. All right. Have fun. Thank you guys.
Thank you.